Hi there, this is Module 1, Lesson 2, the 1997 Values Education Framework. Let's begin. Values have a social function. Commonly held values unite families, tribes, societies, and nations. They are essential to the democratic way of life, which puts a high premium on freedom and the rule of law. And that is why, shortly after the People's Revolution of February 1986, the DEX made values education a primary thrust. Similarly, the DEX thrust found strong support in the Philippine Constitution of 1987 and its vision of a just and humane society, which calls for a shared culture and commonly held values such as truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace. In the pursuit of this thrust, the DEX has embarked on a values education program with the following goal and objectives. Its goal is to provide and promote values education at all three levels of the educational system for the development of the human person committed to the building of a just and humane society and an independent and democratic nation. The DEX values and framework has the following objectives: to develop Filipinos who are, number one, self-actualized, integrally developed human beings imbued with a sense of human dignity, social beings with a sense of responsibility for their community and environment. Third, productive persons who contribute to the economic security and development of the family and the nation. Fourth, as citizens have a deep sense of nationalism and are committed to the progress of the nation as well as of the entire world community through global solidarity. And the last one is manifest in actual life an abiding faith in God as a reflection of their spiritual being. The values education framework pursued at the national, regional, local, and institution levels should be guided by the following general principles. Number one, it must be oriented toward the total person of the learner, mind, heart, and entire being. So it's about holistic education. Number two, it must take into consideration the unique role of the family in one's personal development and integration into society and nation. Here, we recognize the importance of our family where all our values begin. Third, in the school context, more important than lesson plans and any list of values are the teachers themselves who have the proper sense of values, awareness of their inner worth, and utmost respect for the person of the other. In short, these principles focus on the learners, family, and teachers. The values education framework herein presented is based on a rational understanding or a philosophy of the human person. More specifically, it is grounded on the rational understanding of the Filipino in his historical and cultural context, supported by the Philippine Constitution of 1987. That understanding of the Filipino as a human being in society and his role in the shaping of society and the environment may be reconstructed from the various statements of the Constitution and expressed in the following manners. Number one, the human person is the subject of education. He or she is a human person learning and being taught. The human person is also the object of education. That means he or she is at the center of the curriculum and the entire program. And the task of education is to help the Filipino develop his or her human potential, contribute to the growth of the Philippine culture, and by taking care of the environment and making use of human and non-human resources, build appropriate structure and institution for the attainment of a just and humane society. Number two, the human person is multidimensional. There is, first of all, the distinction between the person as self and the person in community. But in real life, these are not two different and separate aspects. The person as self grows precisely by developing his faculties in contact with the world and others in the community and by taking an active role in improving that community. Number three, the human person is an individual self-conscious being of incalculable value in himself or herself, who cannot be a mere instrument of the society and of the state. He or she is not just body and soul juxtaposed or mixed as oil and water, but he or she is an embodied spirit. Therefore, his or her physical, intellectual, moral, and spiritual well being is recognized by the state. Number four, the human person is a social being. Humans do not live in isolation but in community with other persons, physical, intellectual, moral, and spiritual, like himself or herself. Therefore, humans are inevitably social. Humans belong to a family, the basic unit of society, or in the words of the Constitution, the foundation of the nation, as well as to a wider and more complex society of men and women. Being social, humans participate in defining the goals and destinies of the community and in achieving the common good. Number five, humans are also economic beings. Life in community involves the concerns of livelihood, sufficiency, production, and consumption. And lastly, humans are political creatures. Like other people in the world, the Filipinos have constituted themselves into a nation state to pursue the goal of social progress and total human liberation and development. The text framework philosophy, therefore, is grounded on the understanding of the nature of the Filipino human person, who is both the subject and the object of values education, a multidimensional being, an embodied spirit endowed with dignity, a social being who belongs to a family, and a creature in the world with economic and political concerns. The text framework core values emerge from the understanding, the recognition, and the acceptance of the different dimensions of the human person, which are physical, spiritual, intellectual, moral, social, economic, and political. In all of these dimensions, the supreme and overarching value that characterizes values education is human dignity. The value of the person is of infinite value. From all these dimensions, the core values were determined. From physical dimension, the core values are health and harmony with nature. From spiritual dimension, global spirituality. From intellectual dimension, truth and tolerance. From moral dimension, love and goodness. From social dimension, peace and justice and respect for human rights. From economic dimension, sustainable human development. And from political dimension, the core values are nationalism and globalism. The last thing we will look into are the values closely related to these core values. Let's find out! In this last part of the lesson, let's look into the values that are closely related to the core values. This is according to the text Values Education Framework. If you remember, we talk about the dimensions of the human person and the core values. For physical dimension, remember, the core values are health and harmony with nature. And here, the related values are holistic health, cleanliness, physical fitness, reverence and respect for life, and environmental care. For intellectual dimension, the core values are truth and tolerance. And here, the related values are love of truth, critical thinking, creativity, openness and respect for others, and future orientation. For moral dimension, the core values are love and goodness. And here, the related values are self-worth or self-esteem, goodness, honesty, integrity, personal discipline, courage, trust, compassion, caring, and sharing. For social dimension, the core values, peace and justice should start from strengthening family solidarity and respect for human rights as a member of society. And here, the related values are respect and love for one's family, family solidarity, responsible parenthood, concern for common good, cooperation, social responsibility and accountability, creative goodwill, fairness, appreciation of diversity, and active nonviolence. For spiritual dimension, we have the global spirituality. And here, the related values are faith in God, inner peace, religious tolerance, and unity of all. And then, for economic dimension, our core values are sustainability and human development. And here, the related values are balance between economic and social development, protection of the environment, wise use of resources, responsible consumerism, productivity and quality, economic equity, work ethic, and entrepreneurial spirit. For political dimension, our core values are nationalism and globalism. And here, the related values are love of country, heroism and appreciation of heroes, appreciation of cultural heritage, democracy, freedom and responsibility, civic consciousness and active participation, committed leadership, national unity, international understanding and solidarity, interdependence, appreciation of world heritage, cultural freedom, and global peace. So, those are the values related to the core values. There are many of them, and it will be helpful if you can remember them. So, to recap, we talk about the 1997 Values Education Framework, its goals and objectives, the principles and guidelines, the DEX framework philosophy, the human dimensions, and the core values and the related values. And that's the Module 1, Lesson 2, the 1997 Values Education Framework. That's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe and thank you for watching. See you in the next video.